Okay.
And I'm going to go live on my page. Give me 1 second. It's not on my timeline, to my page. Select page, Canadian Whiteboard Finance, go live. All right, go for it.
All right. Hey, Galen, how are you?
I'm good. Carlin, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely.
This is Galen Nuttall, who's a financial planner. We're going to talk briefly about sort of a high-level overview of what incorporating looks like and some benefits to incorporating.
Absolutely.
So Galen, do you want to explain what it means to be incorporated?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And yeah, thanks for having me on to talk about this topic. I find that incorporation can be a bit confusing for people. Like, it sounds like something very complicated and fancy. And at the end of the day, it's actually quite simple, like in essence. And specifically going to talk about incorporation for real estate agents, for realtors. So when I started as a financial advisor 10 years ago, I started working with people who could incorporate, like physicians, dentists, like there's lots of people out there that can incorporate. But one that always felt like it was missing was the real estate agent. Like, it didn't make sense to me why all these people could incorporate and a realtor couldn't. And then finally, a bit ago, I think about a year ago, they said you can incorporate. And I was like super pumped because I was like, I keep waiting for the day when real estate agents will be able to incorporate, because there's a lot of benefits for someone who is self-employed, someone who's earning money through commission, someone who's interested in investing in real estate. All those things make it that it's a good thing to be able to incorporate.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. So as a real estate agent, what are some of the benefits they would have to being incorporated versus not?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to talk about is there are legal benefits to having a corporation. I'm not going to talk about the legal side of things because I'm not a lawyer, but I will talk about the impact, like financially, and a bit about the taxation of being incorporated. So the biggest thing that being incorporated can support with a real estate agent is that someone's when you earn commissions, or if you're earning, if you're part of a brokerage or whatever, or a firm, and you're earning your commissions, you have no real control over how you get paid or when you get paid. Like, you can do some simple things to try to, like, if you have a really good year and you want to wait a bit to get that big commission, maybe you can push it out a little bit to the next year. But otherwise, you don't have a lot of say as to how you get paid. Like, you have a really good year, you're going to pay a lot of taxes, and if and you can't even it out over time. So one of the biggest benefits of having a corporation for real estate agent is that if you've had some good years and you didn't need all that money to get paid to you, you can actually leave it inside of a corporation. So you're paying way less taxes on that money up front than you would if you took it personally. So some people, I see them saving as much as 30 cents on the dollar for of taxes, because they're not having to take that money personally and paying income tax on it. So you have a lot more flexibility as to how you get paid. You can, it's what I say in the simplest terms is, being incorporated is like having a special kind of bank account where your commissions land in this special kind of bank account. You only pay business tax on it, which is a fraction of what personal tax is. And you only have to take it out when you actually need the money personally. So you don't get that second layer of tax until you really need it. And while the money is left inside of that corporation or special account, it can be invested, it can be used to buy properties. So at the end of the money, you have more of your money working for you when you want it, and you have a lot more flexibility as to when you use it personally.
Okay. So could somebody set it up so that they draw, a weekly paycheck, if you will, from that special account, just so that they can have like a consistent, okay, I know X amount is coming in every Friday?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a pretty popular way for people who have corporations to do things, where they have, let's say someone has a really good month or a really good year or whatever, they can keep that money in there and they can pay themselves a regular salary out of that corporation, out of that special account, where they can really level out. Like, they can, if they're interested in it, like I am also in a business where my pay fluctuates, and we call it lumpy. Like, it's a very lumpy existence where you have like maybe a really big paycheck and then you don't have any for a while, and then you have a really big one. it helps smooth out those lumps, which sometimes are attractive. What's that?
That's a great term, lumpy.
Yeah, very lumpy. We call it lumpy in my industry because it's very lumpy. You can have a big sale, you make money, and then you could have months where you don't make much. So it helps. You can actively choose to even out those lumps, whether for yourself or a partner. Like sometimes people who make straight commissions are married to people who are salaried people, and they're find it kind of odd. Like, how come we make all this money and then we don't make any? Like, how come? And so you can even that out either for your own peace of mind or for your partner's peace of mind. I've definitely seen it both ways.
Okay. Okay. So what if they pay themselves X amount for salary, but then at the end of the year, it's Christmas time, they want to spoil their family a little bit, and they want extra money. Can they pull that extra out as well?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you can totally
Okay.
pull that extra out. I mean, it's one of the things that when I work with incorporated professionals, we look at that sort of thing. Like, okay, how are you taking it out? When are you taking it out? Sometimes there's a conversation to be had with the accountant, when it makes sense. But totally, like that money is still your money. When people incorporate, like real estate agents incorporate, they are the only shareholder of that corporation. So it is all theirs. There's not another, like when people hear corporations, sometimes they think like, oh, we're talking about like a big company like Rogers or Apple. Like the word corporation can sound like this big thing, but it's actually like quite simple. Like when a real estate agent incorporates, it's usually just them that makes all the decisions around that corporation and how the money is spent. Almost exactly the same, like I said, as having like a bank account in your name. Like it's you have pretty much the same control over it as you would if you were personal.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Interesting. Is there anything else you want to share that you think might be needed or necessary?
Yeah, and we're gonna have more videos to talk about these concepts. But I mean, one of the things is, I'm always happy to sit down with people to figure out if it makes sense for them to incorporate, because there are certain thresholds to hit for it to make sense. But I'd say that in general, in the conversations I've had with real estate agents, is fewer of them are being incorporated than should incorporate, because there are potentially huge long-term tax benefits to being incorporated versus not incorporated. And what I would say is, like, when people are looking at that decision of to incorporate or not, in general, I'd say it's depending too much on what I call water cooler talk. It's kind of like, oh, are you incorporating? No, I'm not incorporating, because like they're talking to their friends, right? Like kind of what I did before I became a financial planner is I would just look to what my friends were doing with their money, or RSPs or TFSAs or whatever, and I'd kind of do what they were doing. Whereas like the water cooler is not the best place to get like advice, on these sorts of topics. So I'd say to people, if there's even an inkling that they wonder if they should incorporate, like I would say reach out to a financial planner who understands corporation to help you figure out whether it makes sense or not.
Okay. If someone wanted to reach out to you, how do you prefer they contact you?
That's a good question. People can go to my website. My website is gnuttall.com. So GNUTTALL.com. And there's a link there to book a 15-minute phone conversation. So I really love having quick first conversations with people to make the most of our time, like make sure we're not like, make sure we're making the most of our time. And very quickly, I can ask someone a few questions to see if it makes sense to have a longer, more involved conversation. But yeah. I like the quick 15-minute conversation. What are you up to? What have you got going on? Okay, cool. It either doesn't make sense to have another conversation or it does. So that's the best way, is gnuttall.com.
Okay, awesome, great. So I look forward to doing more of these little chats with you, and we can maybe do a bit more of a deep dive into incorporating or some other topics that you might feel are relevant as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.